Chapter 1. The Fearsome Foursome. It all began at a lunch table, where a good number of friendships are born. Willow was reading Poe's Tales of Mystery and Suspense, a dog-eared paperback containing classic stories written about 1,000,000 years ago. The wording could be tricky, but once you got used to it, you'd be treated to the finest horror stories ever put to paper. More important, Willow was reading because she liked to read, not because it was assigned. And really, who reads anymore? Besides you, that is. Tim was passing the table, balancing a tray of what could generously be described as a macaroni item, when the cover caught his attention. It featured a black cat with a missing eyeball drooling something red. You know, one of those covers you can't take your eyes off of, or in the case of that particular black cat, eye, singular. Tim made a beeline for Willa. Maybe it was her book, or her hair, which could best be described as seasonal. Not the cut, the color. Those days it was blue, matching Willa's eyes. Tim cleared his throat before opening with a compliment. "That is so sick." Willa glanced up over her shoulder. "Excuse me?" "I have the same book," he said, "only mine has a raven on it." Tim slipped his hand into a New York Yankees backpack and pulled out his copy of Poe's Tales. Willa was momentarily impressed, until she spotted the word abridged under the title. "You got ripped off," she said. "Abridged means they cut things out, usually the good parts, like when they show Beast Feast on TV. You need to get the uncut version." She went back to her Poe. Not coincidentally, the uncut version. But Tim hung around like a puppy, waiting for Willa to finish her page. Again, she glanced back. "May I help you?" "My name's Tim." He extended his hand, and Willa shook it, almost breaking it. She wasn't a tomboy or anything. She was just stronger and faster, but not smarter. On that score, Willa and Tim were in the same league. "Willa," she finally conceded. Tim took the initiative, asking her if she knew his pals Noah and Steve. She'd heard of Steve, of course. Who hadn't? Steve had a reputation for being a bad boy, which he wasn't. But like it or not, looks went a long way in middle school, and Steve certainly looked the part. Noah looked his part as well. He was a chubby, red-headed geek she remembered from a recent science fair debacle with the band Dinosaurs vs. Teachers exhibit. "They're really into horror, too." She looked surprised. "Steve's into horror?" "You wouldn't think so, I know. He's one of the cool kids." Willa shot him a look that suggested he was about to get decked. "Not that you're not cool," he quickly added, fearing for his life. "Steve-O got me into Poe." He turned his paperback on its side, showing her Steve's name written in marker. "Noah's into Lovecraft. Ever hear of him?" Willa nodded. "H.P. Lovecraft, the writer? Providence's own? Of course." Tim was bubbling with excitement. Or maybe it was the macaroni item. Let's just say something was bubbling in his belly. "We're starting a club. For horror lovers only. Right now it's just the three of us. But there's always room for one more." Willa instantly took to the idea. Horror lovers were in short supply those days. "You mean like a reader's circle?" "More like a storyteller's circle." Tim leaned in, suddenly serious. "We don't just read scary stories. We invent them." That brought Willa to her feet. She was about 3 inches taller than Tim on a good day. It was a good day. "Scary's what I do," she said. "I'm going to be a horror writer when I grow up." "If you grow up, Willa. If." "Does that mean you're in?" "Does a vampire drink blood?" she replied. Tim raised his hand for a high five, fearing a second handshake might send him to the emergency room. Slap.